What they got you taking?
Keppra and Depakote and um, gabapentin.
Okay, I'm on Lamictal, 200 milligrams twice. Um, yeah, today I wanted to talk about a lot of Keppra because I see a whole bunch of just bad stuff about Keppra.
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of bad stuff about it too. Um, I've never really experienced anything bad with it myself, other than memory loss. But I don't know if that's from the Keppra or from the seizures.
Oh, okay. Um, when was your last seizure?
Um, Less than 2 weeks ago.
Okay, yeah, mine was April 11th, so that was almost a month ago. Someone says, does anyone else keep backup meds? I have kept every pill bottle from my epilepsy journey as a souvenir. I know that's a little special. However, recently I have, wait, however, recently I have kept two backup bottles, 500 and 250 milligrams of my prescription in case my pharmacy doesn't have the Keppra prescription when I need it. Only one in my city, so has to be open. Or
I guess I
like
would
in
have one
case,
question about that. How do you have backups if you don't take it?
yeah, that's what I was reading. I had read it again in my head, like,
The only way I would have extra or backups is if I wasn't taking my prescriptions the way I was supposed to.
right. She says, well, he or she, I don't know who it is, but says, I was recently called paranoid by people for doing this, and that's unhealthy to be pre-stressed about a solution. So I am wondering if this is normal. The backups are up to date, and I would never take expired Keppra. I don't think that person sees the point.
I I wouldn't be worried about the expiration date so much on it. It's just if you have backups, then that means
That means you haven't been taking some.
yeah, exactly.
Someone said I'm stocking extra of my meds. With the chaos coming out of the US, we could be facing seriously chain supply problems.
And why is
Um,
that?
I don't know. Then the other person responded, my exact thought process was that. Mm. Someone says, I have 5 days to 1 week. Since they are controlled substances, it's hard to get extra, but I have skipped doses for backups. Just always rotate the old ones out and replace them with new ones every month. I don't want expired medicine as backup. Okay. Someone says, in the UK, we can only get 1 month every month, so it's difficult to build up spare. However, over time, you can build up a couple days every month. I don't get saving pills.
I can't remember the last time well, this is kind of a oxymoron, but I can't remember the last time I forgot to take my medication. I take it twice a day every day. I got an alarm, so
I got an alarm, and for some reason, sometimes I snooze it and miss it. But yeah, yeah. I never saved up pills. Like, don't take it so I can have more. Seizures ain't
yeah,
fun.
either.
Someone also said, both me and my wife have epilepsy and we both keep backups. Hey, to each his own.
I wish I knew somebody else in my real life that had epilepsy. Uh, I mean, I've got people in my life, but nobody has epilepsy, so they just don't quite get it.
Yeah, totally understand that. Nobody really gets it. They think epilepsy is something that's just easy. And I've heard people say, "Oh, you're all right now? Oh, he just had a seizure. He'll be okay." And they don't understand that a seizure could be more than just okay. But yeah,
Yeah, the after effects of a seizure for me last at least a full 24 hours.
yeah. At least need to be checked up on. And if not, go to the hospital. Somebody be like, "Are you okay?" Because sometimes it doesn't come right instantly. Sometimes it could just be that headache that lasts 8 to 10 hours afterwards. So yeah.
Or you damn near bite your tongue in half.
Do you drive?
Not anymore, no.
Someone says, common sense decline. I know this sounds silly, but it's been pressing my mind. Can epilepsy cause lack of common sense? More to say, cognitive function that's been impaired. Basically, 13 years at this point of a seizure episode, did a test and came out positive. What do you consider common sense as? And she says lamotrigine gang. That's what I'm taking, 200 milligrams.
I've never quite heard of that. I've heard of, well, Keppra rage and memory loss.
Someone said help. Holy shit, Keppra is awful. I've been on Keppra for about a week now. I've never had side effects this bad from any other medication. I've been extra irritable. I'm almost cursed at this new girl at my job. I'm struggling to stay awake. The other day I had to take 3 naps despite taking my ADHD meds and three no dose tablets. Dangerous, I know. Maybe TMI, but I've been having diarrhea and soft stools, heartburn, and vomiting. I decided to stop taking it because I need to stay awake. Please tell me there are better meds out there. If they are, if they are all like this, I think I'd rather keep having seizures because this is worse.
Not every medication is works the same for everybody or is good for everybody.
Yeah,
So they just got to figure out which one is good for them. But I mean, that sounds pretty terrible. But I've got some side effects from Keppra, but I would rather deal with those than seizures. But it's one of those things that's a personal choice, I guess. You know.
yeah. Somebody told her she should find a new neurologist. Sometimes that's a good idea. Sometimes.
Well, if he's not willing to try something other than Keppra, then yeah, I would say you need a new neurologist because they should be trying different things.
Someone says, please, from personal experience, talk to your doctor about a change from Keppra immediately. Keppra literally made me insane. It also didn't treat my seizures. I kept having them constantly the entire time I was taking the medication. Sometimes I would have them a couple times a day. It got me fired from my job. I just didn't understand my behavior. My anger and dark, distressing thoughts kept worsening. February 2027, I almost killed myself after I hallucinated. I panicked and spent 8 days in an adult psychiatric treatment unit as I weaned off the Keppra while receiving treatment. And then someone said, no joke, it almost killed my marriage. I understand where you're coming from. It's like I never hear good stories about Keppra.
Yeah, me neither. But luckily, I don't know. Luckily for me, it's not like that with me for Keppra. So at least I don't think it is. Hopefully, it's not.
Hopefully. Um, then someone says, another post, I can't keep taking Keppra. I've already made my decision to get off Keppra, but I can't afford to see the neurologist to talk to him about this decision I'm making. Talking to my neurologist would change my mind. I can't keep living with the psychological side effects of Keppra. I was at least hoping to figure out the safest option, but it looks like I'm gonna have to out figure it out on my own. Any advice? And don't say just take your meds or just wait it out. Kepra's not an option at this point. I literally rather have multiple seizures a day than consulting a doctor or continuing to take them.
Sounds like a lot of people have really bad neurologists.
Yeah, like I said, I've never heard a good story. Never heard a good story. I've heard about people who have to take it and they've been taking it for years, and yeah, with people with
Well,
genetics and stuff. So
I
have
know that
you don't
a
have
lot of
options.
doctors, their default is Keppra, but if it doesn't work for you, if you have a good doctor, they should try something else.
Someone said, just stop, just stop it. It's likely to cause more problems than it prevents. Speak to a medical professional and they will probably help you taper off and prescribe you something that may work better for you. It's unlikely they'll want to change your decision, but just want to help you make a transition into something else.
So, where do you live?
California, what about you?
Detroit.
Troy, nice. I haven't been.
Yeah, don't bother. It's not worth it.
I've been to the airport on a layover. That's about it.
Uh, yeah, Detroit's pretty boring. Well, unless you want to get robbed or something.
Nah, I'm cool. I can stay where I'm at. I'm perfectly fine right here. Somebody said my Keppra rage is stupid. I take 1,000 milligrams of generic Keppra 2 times a day, and it can make me very angry. I had a coworker grab me by the shoulder. I broke during seizure. That's stealing. That's still healing. They said they spelled steal like stealing something. So okay. I had a coworker grab me by the shoulder. The shoulder I broke during a seizure. That's still healing. And I went full Keppra rage at this time and told him the next time he touched me in any way, there would be no managers able to keep me off of him. I've gotten to this point a couple times at work where I would just pop off on people, and end up losing a job. Uh, See the Keppra rage thing. I want to talk about someone who's going through that. You haven't gone through that, you said?
No, no, but I'm really curious to hear like a firsthand account of it.
Keppra alternatives.
I do have pretty severe memory loss though.
We all do. I think it's the medication.
Yeah.
You think it's the meds?
Honestly, I have no idea if it's the meds or the epilepsy, but what there is actually one benefit to it. I can watch episodes of a show and I don't remember it at all. So it's like a new show.
Right. It's like when I watch a season of a show and the next season comes out 6 months later, I got to go back and watch the last season so I can catch up to the next season.
So I guess it's it's nice to be able to rewatch something and have it all be new again. So I guess that's somewhat a benefit.
Yeah, binge watching is that's my thing. Okay. Someone else says, I've been taking Keppra for about a year now, and I've been noticing a serious decline in my overall lifestyle. Motivation, sleep schedule is wilder, small spurts of Keppra rage, etc. I really need to snap out of this because it's really taking a toll on me. And I want to come up with ideas when I talk to my neurologist. Anyone been on Keppra and felt like this? Oh no. Yeah, my Keppra run, I can't remember. I was a teen. Um,
And
I was just out there being a teen.
I'll tell you one thing this is doing. It's making me feel lucky. Being able to take Kepler without all this bullshit because everybody's bitching about Kepler.
Somebody said, is Keppra the band-aid of epilepsy? Something like that. They give it to you first to see how it works. Someone said, I'm 37 and this year I've had 4 seizures out of nowhere. No previous issues or incidents. Was then prescribed 1,000 milligrams of Keppra once a day after testing, MRI, CT, EKG, everything. Everything came back looking normal, which was a relief, but also a nightmare because they can't pinpoint what's causing my episodes. Admittingly, admittingly, my ability to keep up with the schedule of my meds wasn't great, and now I know that missing your meds, missing your meds can be worse than not taking them at all. I've never had a daily medication that I needed to take, so it was rough for me to get consistent with a schedule for taking my meds. I'm now prescribed Keppra, 500 milligrams, XR, that's the extra release thing,
Yeah,
2 times a day. I finally begun to take it more seriously and make it to a point to take my meds when I'm supposed to. Side effects have been kind of crazy, and I was wondering if Keppra is kind of the starter generic prescription. Yes, it is. I know there's a ton of anti-seizure meds out there, but is this the one that the most commonly first prescribed? Is there more to follow that could
it
be
is
done
definitely
to
the most commonly first prescribed.
yeah, say that again?
I said it is definitely the most commonly first prescribed
Yeah,
medication for epilepsy, but there's a lot of them. So if Kepler doesn't work for you, uh, don't. It sounds cheesy, but don't give up hope because there's a lot of them.
yeah. Don't give up hope because there is a lot. There's one here about Topamax. Topamax making me feel dumb. I didn't know I was the only one who experienced this. Ever since I've been on Topamax, I've been feeling like there's been almost like a wall between my thoughts and finding it hard to express myself. I find it impossible to study. Uh, Possible to
I've
study.
never heard that with Topamax before.
I think
I
I've
was on
heard of
I was
it,
on
but never.
Topamax for probably 2 years. So how?
Someone says
Let me ask you, how old are you?
35.
Okay, and when did you get diagnosed with epilepsy?
When I was 16.
Okay, about the same as me. I'm 38 and I got diagnosed when I was 17.
Okay, yeah, around the same time.
So we've probably both been on a whole lot of different medications.
Yeah, I started with Dilantin and it didn't work, and I stayed on it for like 6 to 8 years, and then Keppra for like 5 to 6 years, and since then I've been on. Let's see. Oh, since then I just been on lamotrigine, 200 milligrams twice daily, for the past 8 years. We're going on 8 years. It's
I
been
was
okay.
on.
It's gotten better. It's gotten better. The better I take care of myself, eat, and all that.
How often do you have a seizure?
Um, a few years ago, it would have been like 6 to 7 a year. Now I'm down to 3 to 5.
That's not bad.
So far, I've had two this year. One in January, one in April. So I'm almost a month with
Oh,
no seizure.
that's good. I was
Yeah,
on
to the Topamax.
Topamax for a long time and Depakote, and then I was on both Topamax and Depakote, and now I'm on Depakote and Kepra. And this year so far, I've had two seizures. Um, but in the last 12 months, probably five seizures. But I don't know. It seems like they just keep changing my medication to, I don't know. It helps
Yeah,
for a while, but it helps for a while, but then everything goes to hell.
yeah. I wish they would find something out, something better. It doesn't have some of these side effects. Because someone said it's particularly known for this. I lost my ability to count. Wow,
Lost the ability to count.
to count on Topamax.
Interesting.
Someone said that's what they call it, Dopamax.
Dopamax. Never heard that before.
Someone said it turned my kid into a walking zombie. Wow. I
I
had to
haven't
get off.
heard Dopamax before, but I've heard Kep Rage. Kep Rage is a common one.
Someone that's on 3,500 milligrams of Keppra and 400 milligrams of Lamictal said, I had to get off Topamax after just a few days. It made me feel crazy, maybe even psychotic. My doctor put me on Lamictal instead.
Well, the number of milligrams doesn't really matter that much. I mean, it does, but you can't compare it to other medications.
Okay.
Like, for example, if you took 4,000 milligrams of Adderall, you would die very quickly.
Yes.
But 4,000 milligrams of Keppra a day, you'll be fine.
Do you have a bracelet?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I don't have a bracelet.
I've been thinking about getting one.
What is it like? How does it work?
I guess if you're alone, and you're in public and you have a seizure, someone would know. Um, that helps for people
Well,
who get
if
drunk
I
in
had a
public
seizure
and
in
stuff like
public,
that,
everybody
then
would know.
you won't end up going to jail because they'll see the bracelet.
If I had a
Or
seizure in public, everybody would know. I just have tonic-clonic seizures.
yeah, I'm lucky I haven't. My last tonic-clonic was April 11th, so I'm almost to a month. I'm just hoping to make it to a month and go from there.
Yeah.
Okay, someone said being a gamer with this shit sucks. I wanted to know if you're able to do any late night gaming. I used to stay up almost every other night before, but not sleeping is one of my triggers. Like, I just want to play video games late at night with friends or on my own when no one can bother me while doing so. And it's the only time I'm not busy. I know this all sounds kind of dumb, but still having this condition sucks. And I just want to know more of my hobby. I just want more of my hobby often, like how I used to
It,
be before Kepra.
it doesn't sound dumb. It makes sense.
Feels a
There's all
bit.
kinds of things that epilepsy or the medication can do that I don't know.
One comment says,
It can affect your
if you have
the
no
rest of your life.
photosensitivity, huh?
Well, I said it can affect the rest of your life.
Right.
What about photosensitivity?
Someone says, if you have no photosensitivity and still keep a consistent routine, you should be fine. But very late, as in 3 to 4 a.m., is not recommended. I got away from, I got away with going to bed at 2 to 3 for a long time, but I got sick of it. So I had to slow mine back to 12:30 to 1. That's good. Someone said, "Yeah, I still follow my usual gaming patterns before I was diagnosed. If anything, I play more because I have more free time now that I'm out of education. I can't do late night as much, but I think that's just me getting older. Maybe work on getting at least 8 hours and waking up later. If you can see the difference, then do that." Uh, Testing yourself, I don't suggest that.
Yeah, I wouldn't suggest testing yourself either.
Someone says, I'm not photosensitive, but ever since I had my first seizure, I can't play Call of Duty anymore. But I try, and I always end up having multiple migraines the day after, and usually end up to a seizure. Finding new hobbies has been garbage. Huh.
Are you photosensitive?
No,
No, me
no.
neither.
They tried to do it. They tried to like open my eyes and then put the strobe light on my eyes and make it blink fast and blink slow. Then they told me close my eyes and do it with my eyes closed. The same thing. Didn't work. They were like, okay, doesn't work with you. All right. Someone says bit tongue during seizure. Still hurts more than a week later. Is that normal? It was feeling better, but still bad today. It hurts just like it did the first day. My anxiety is going crazy and I don't want to have a seizure. Should I have that checked? Um,
What hurts?
her tongue.
Oh, well,
Um,
shit. A tongue bite can take a while to heal.
yeah, I've had some bad ones, I guess. Um, yeah, I don't know what to do. I mean, uh, depending on how bad it is, I might go to the emergency room. Um, but most likely, they're just going to give you something and hope it goes away in a few days.
Yeah, they're not going to do a whole lot in the ER.
Yeah. Someone said it's okay to feel anxious. I bite my tongue during seizures and scars in my mouth almost every 2 weeks. You can apply some wound ointment.
They do have a lidocaine that works pretty well for that, but it's very temporary.
Lidocaine you can put in your mouth.
Yeah,
Oh,
but it only works for like maybe 20 minutes.
okay. Someone said urgent care can give you something they call magic mouthwash. It worked wonders for me. Someone else said I keep magic mouthwash on hand. What is that?
Now I'm interested. I want to know what this magic mouthwash is.
Someone said that is normal. See a doctor if it takes more than 2 weeks or becomes obviously infected. I'm still having back pain from a tonic clonic seizure nearly a month ago. Okay, yeah, the seizure, the tongue, I can see having pain from a seizure, but uh, a month later is a long time.
Well, I have back pain all the time from my seizures, but I also broke uh, my L4 through L6 vertebrae, so
Where's that at?
lower back.
Oh, okay. You ever
I
had a seizure
broke
while driving?
no, no, never had a seizure while driving.
Good. Very good.
I got hit by a car though after I had a seizure and broke uh 17 bones.
Yikes.
Most of them were ribs.
Most of them were what?
Ribs.
Oh, how many?
14 ribs.
14 ribs. I don't even know how many ribs I have, to be honest.
28.
Okay. Ooh, you broke half of your ribs? Was it all on one side?
No. Most of them were on my right side, but some of them were on my left side.
Okay. Back to the comment. Someone said, my doctor gave me a numbing solution, swish around my mouth like mouthwash. It works great, but it's weird having your whole mouth numb when you only want your tongue. Someone said, my neurologist ignores the side effects of the medication she's prescribed for me. I suffer from focal epilepsy and was diagnosed when I was 14 to 15 years old. Since then, I've been taking medications to prevent seizures like Lamictal, which I discontinued due to allergic reaction. Then Keppra also discontinued because it made my anxiety much worse. Since I was about 18 to 19 years old, I was taking Topamax. I was always told that I could do cycles with the medication and then stop. But now my neurologist is convinced that I should continue even though I don't have seizures and my tracing has improved. When I had visible side effects, they immediately decrease my dose. However, they don't listen when I complain about serious side effects, even marked in a leaflet, inability to concentrate, memory loss, brain fog, etc. They blame it on depression and anxiety and stress. Someone said Lamictal have me horrible night terrors, and they wanted me to tough it out because they don't care if it's not a physical thing. They also didn't want me to stop meds because the seizures might come back. But the they gave me, only reason they make me stay on them was so that I can stop having seizures, but I still keep having seizures anyway. So I stopped my meds and said, if I have more seizures, then we'll talk. Are you serious?
Mm.
Then she said, I take a high quality CBD and other supplements and have done well for years. I know I'll be back on meds someday, but for now I'm good. Not everyone can go off meds, but listen to your body. If the meds are not making things better, then look for other options. I wouldn't suggest to anyone to stop taking their pills. I mean, what works for you works
Yeah,
for you.
no,
But everything works for everyone. You ever heard of Envy
no,
or clobazam?
no.
Somebody said it's a benzo, which has had a significant effect on a great variety of things in your body. Getting
You
off,
say
getting off
benzo?
it takes months to years. I'm ready to be done with this crap. I just had my Depakote reduced, so that's at least one celebration. Mm,
Did you say benzo?
yeah,
Like Ativan?
I guess she said it's a benzo.
Yeah, you shouldn't take that for a long time.
Someone says 7 hours late on medication. I was at a protest in London today, and I hadn't realized that they were doing major engineering work, so my train was home really late, and my pills were majorly pushed back. And the one I can get will be 5 hours for no reason. Some people's writing just all over the place. I'll be late for my medication for 7 hours. Any suggestions? Um, get home. I guess take it when you get home.
Yeah.
Someone said I moved and I'm out of meds and I can't get a new neurologist. I moved like 6 months ago to a different state. I've been in the long process of getting Medicaid, and my new state where I moved from sucked. Where I moved from sucked with anything to do. I want nothing to do with them getting a hold of anyone for anything. So I had a very hard time getting them to cancel my assistance in the old state. Even the new state had trouble getting my Medicaid canceled out there. So I'm only now just getting my Medicaid for the state I moved to. It goes in effect today. I ran out of meds today. I had my meds refilled, switched to my current state, knowing I need a new neurologist out here. This took so effing long that I've run through all my refills and they won't do more without a person in an appointment, which I can't do, obviously. What's totally my bad. What's totally my bad is I didn't realize the bottle. I just went through the last refill that I was allowed, and I thought I had more. I tried setting up an appointment with a new neurologist in my current state, but they say they can't without a referral. I can't get a hold of anyone from the old state to do that. I asked them if there's anything I can do. They said they can't help in any way and said there's nothing I can do to get my meds without getting a referral and seeing a neurologist here. Anyone
Welcome
have
to
any
the American
suggestions?
medical system.
Say that again.
Said welcome to the American medical system. It's
Right.
terrible.
Someone says contact the Epilepsy Foundation directly at their help hotline. They can help. That's good to know. Someone said pharmacies will give you an emergency supply if you explain your situation. Never heard that.
Pharmacy?
Yes.
Yeah, I've never heard of that either. A doctor will.
Yes. Yes. It says pharmacy will give you an emergency supply if you explain your situation.
I've had
Someone else responds.
um, urgent care doctors prescribe me medication in an emergency, but
Yeah, that's what I do. When I run out, I go to the emergency room. Or if I lose a bottle, I go to the emergency room and they give me enough for a month.
yeah, never heard of a pharmacy doing that though.
Says, does anyone actually take their medication on time every day? I try to. I haven't exactly got on time, on time. Maybe 2 days in a row, and sometimes I don't know. But the person said my seizures are pretty well controlled when I take my medication 2 times a day. But unfortunately, it's just one of those things that I'm not perfect at, especially when there are other things going on like outings, events, work, etc. I really beat myself up when there are consequences from missing doses. For the first time this weekend, I accidentally took my night medication during the day. I was more scared about it, about overdosing, than anything else. But I just felt really crappy. About an hour after I made the mistake, I was drooling and couldn't keep my head up and eyes open. Since then, I've messed up all my dose times and have had some seizures. So, is anyone capable of taking their medication on time every single day? Maybe I'm asking this just to make myself feel worse about my inability to.
Well, I don't take it on the dot, but just close, like 8 a.m., 8 p.m.,
Yeah, I
somewhere
don't,
around that time.
yeah, I don't take it on the dot either. And I do have an alarm for it. Just doesn't happen like that. I snooze most of the time.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I'm an hour or two away, both sides, but seems to work.
Someone said, I'm a pharmacist and I have messed up more than once. Don't beat yourself up. I've learned to take my medication with me if I'll be out. Double check when taking your morning meds and nighttime. I made that mistake too.
My morning meds and my night meds for epilepsy are the same.
Someone says, Kepra has yanked all the happiness right out of my son. Any advice? My son is 9, almost 10, and has had febrile seizures since he was a baby. All of his tests have come back normal, but after a double seizure in a day and a longer than usual period of time for him to regain full consciousness, his neurologist labeled him as epileptic and put him on Keppra. The plan is to pull him off Keppra if he can be seizure free for the next 2 years. No idea if meds actually work because he's not been sick since summer, luckily, and his seizures have only occurred with fevers. But this medicine has completely derailed his personality. He's had a really hard time with impulse control and managing his anger. When he's happy in a playful mood, it's fleeting. I know some of it is just puberty starting, but since he started taking the med, he immediately became so much more argumentative and irritable. He's been taking 50 milligrams of vitamin B6 twice a day, like his doctor suggested, with no improvement. Anyone have any experiences with their mood improving over time? He's been taking it for 6 months. I'm going to add in small dose of magnesium to see if it helps. But any suggestions or even just personal experience on this med would be very helpful. I don't want to put him on a different medicine because the neurologist said the rest would require labs. And I'll be in a bad mood over seizures, but I'd love to help him get back to being happy and not getting in trouble at school. Thanks for the advice, if you have any. Um,
I I don't even want to weigh in on that. That sounds like a question for a doctor.
Someone said I had to quit taking it because it made me a horrible person. Someone said, as I mentioned, I am also an adult onset epilepsy. However, the side effects from Keppra are well known and indefinite, definitely, they said and definitely cause mood swings, rage, etc. in adults. So I can only assume it would have a similar effect on children. Some of people did have their side effects lessen with time, while others changed the medications because of it. I know febrile seizures in kids doesn't mean they necessarily have epilepsy either. I have heard he would have had 2 or more seizures without a fever to be classified that. Ultimately, some medications work for some that don't work for others, and some have side effects while others haven't. I would
Yeah,
definitely
that's
speak
what
with
I
a
was thinking too.
neurologist.
The fever seizures, you know.
I never heard of those. I got to look up that. Do only kids have it?
Uh, no, but kids have a tendency to get higher fevers than adults.
Oh, okay. Someone says, don't be afraid to ask your doctor for other medications. Keppra is always the first medication prescribed for seizures, but it is not the right answer for a lot of people. Right. How bad is your memory?
What'd you say?
How bad is your memory?
Uh, it's not too bad. There's just random things I don't remember.
Mine is bad. Um, I can turn around and forget something. Someone could tell me something, and I walk right out of their room door and turn around and say,
Oh,
"What were you saying? What'd you
yeah,
tell me again?"
my short-term memory is terrible. My long-term memory is mediocre.
Someone says I'm 1 month sober. Today I haven't had alcohol for a month. People near me don't treat it like a victory. After all, I shouldn't have been drinking with epilepsy in the first place. But I've been struggling with substance abuse for longer than I've had epilepsy. And this today, it really means a lot to me. I applaud that.
Yeah, me too.
Someone said epilepsy got me sober. I partake in the devil's lettuce a bit too much, but no alcohol for me. Stay fried.
Said your subreddit actually took off faster than I thought it would.